Welcome to Alter. I'm your host, Nicole Meline. This podcast explores the practice of transformation, of growth, as a dance between hustle and flow, altering, changing, growing, becoming, and altering, offering, surrendering, opening to divine conspiracy. It's the dance of the leader, athlete, creator, entrepreneur, committed not just to optimal expression, but to exceptional being. So here are adventures in sweat and divine conspiracy. Awake to all the grit, dirt, and complexity of our world. Alert to the graces that come alongside the struggle, the hustle. Encouragement, an infusion of courage for the moments you need it most. I'm your host, Nicole Meline. Welcome to Alter. Hi, loves. The oath or mission statement of this podcast is exploring the practice of growth. Let's let that phrase settle in us for a minute. The practice of growth. Turns out growth is a practice. It requires intention. It doesn't just happen on its own. Everyone gets old. Not everyone becomes an elder. You know what I mean? Growing up, I always thought of age 40 as some sort of portal to adulthood, after which you become wise. But as I've gone through it, it turns out, no, we don't automatically become wise. We have to develop practices of growth that help us alchemize experiences like injury and illness, divorce, disappointments, failures into wisdom. This doesn't automatically happen on its own. We've all met olders who are not elders, bitter or immature or carrying a victim mindset their whole lives. There's not that kind of gravity, gravitas, weightiness we want to acquire as we age with wisdom and joy. One of these practices of growth is integration. Periodically, intentionally taking stock, coming into integrity. Do you have a regular practice in your life of coming into integrity? I'm loving this word integrity more and more. It's our theme this month in the Alter Together membership. It's the lens we're looking through in movement and meditation practice. And it's especially relevant, not just for our time on the planet right now, where we see so many leaders lacking integrity, but also for this time of the year, as the year is drawing to a close, or as I choose to think about it, crescendoing. Integrity shares the same root word as integrate. To integrate is to come into integrity, to come into wholeness. It actually comes from a math term. Do you remember back to maybe your high school or college days of algebra and calculus? The integral, it's the root number that could go on to be doubled or tripled or multiplied by, but it's that basic unit, the core of something. To integrate is to come into integrity, to come into wholeness. The word integrate means to weave together disparate parts into a whole, to bring something fully into ourselves. A year can go by kind of in a blur, with moments and pieces we haven't fully sat with and metabolized and learned from. But when we ask specific questions of a year or a particular season, we can integrate it. We can bring it into ourselves and alchemize it into wisdom. Grief, regret, gratitude, celebration, all of it can be alchemized. This old medieval word, transform through fire, transform through the fire of our reflection, our sitting in the discomfort, or just sitting in the uncertainty, the in between, the blank canvas of a response to a question we're not quite sure of. Sitting in that fire, we can transform all of that. We can alchemize all of that into wisdom and bring it fully into ourselves so that none of it is lost on us or in us. So a few questions for you to get started. What has been your favorite song this year? A song that moved you? Was there a song that you were playing over and over in the car or on a run or in workouts, or maybe just tucked into a child's pose on your yoga mat? What was your favorite song this year? Every year I make a playlist that's called Songs Changing Me. And it's so powerful to listen back through and, of course, be pulled into that first moment that you felt this connection, this aha, this identification with a song, and then dove into it over time. Next question. What was your favorite belly laugh? What was your favorite belly laugh this year? Who was it with? What was it about? I can think of belly laughs with friends this year. That's always the mark, right, of a rich friendship, when you can just lose it with someone. What was your favorite belly laugh this year? Hopefully there's a few coming to mind. Hopefully it's very hard to choose. What was your favorite kiss? Dog kisses count. Go back to that moment or those moments. What has been your hardest won lesson this year? And with these questions, it's especially interesting just to see what your blink response is. You know that Malcolm Gladwell book, Blink, which is this way of talking about what does your intuition just immediately respond with? The deepest part of you suddenly remembers and brings to mind. When you don't really think about it, it's just right there. What has been your hardest won lesson? How have you healed this year? I love this question so much because as we sit with it, there are probably so many answers. Maybe a better way of putting this is, how are you healing this year? Or how did you begin healing this year? Or what did you begin healing this year? Healing is an ongoing process. Usually it's rarely kind of tied up and resolved. But what did you begin healing? One of the things I love about offering this podcast and these questions at this time is that we're not quite at the end of the year. So as you're listening to some of these, maybe you're thinking, I don't have an answer to this, and I want an answer to this before the end of this year. So in that case, the question is, what will you begin healing this year? Or what do you want to be able to look back on at this time next year and know that you intentionally engaged healing in this area? What progress have you made toward a big dream? And I put it this way instead of what big dream have you accomplished, because I'm interested in the journey. I'm interested in approaching dreams for the process itself. I believe that God gives us our biggest dreams. I'm talking about those dreams that are so big that you yourself have to grow into them. It's going to call you up into an up-leveled version of yourself to create this, to accomplish this, to bring this to be. I believe that God puts those big dreams in us because that journey is what it's about. The dream is like the carrot on the end of a stick. And the journey is the process of becoming that we really need. It's less about accomplishing this thing, opening those doors, launching this product, launching this creative venture. And the juicier question is more, who would I have to become? Who do I get to become on the way to doing that? Another favorite question we'll conclude with, What's the best compliment you gave this year? What's the best compliment you gave? I feel like the best compliments are usually a little bit on the edge. Like you feel like a tiny bit embarrassed or a tiny bit like, am I going too far to really lavish this person? Yes. When did you go too far in your lavishing? When did you go too far in your praise? What was the best compliment you gave this year? Or maybe it's less about an over-the-top praise and celebration, and it's more shining a spotlight on some little thing about someone, something that they probably don't usually have noticed. What was the best compliment you gave? These questions are all from my Integrate Year in Review journal, which I've linked in these show notes and is available at shop.nicolemeline.com. This journal came out of my own process, this year in review process that I do each year. And I would love to invite you to the Integrate workshop I'm leading on Wednesday, December 20th, where I'm going to be sharing my process for overviewing my year and integrating it into myself, looking at all of the different spheres of our life over the course of the year. So for example, your body, what was the journey that your body went on this year? That would include your workouts, your training, illnesses, injuries you've healed from, new ways of nourishing yourself that you tried, goals that you set for yourself, your mind, your spirit, your relationships, your finances, your business, your creativity, etc., etc. There's so much more that I'm excited to share with you. In the Integrate workshop, we'll be working and playing and maybe crying and ahaing and celebrating our way through the Integrate journal. If you can't make it live, the replay will be included. So whenever you're listening to this podcast, you can take this workshop. In addition to the end of the year, it's especially powerful at a shift in seasons of life or seasons during the year or around your birthday. Register at nicolemeline.com/visionary, VISIONARY, and that's linked for you in the show notes as well. The Integrate workshop is included in my Visionary Volume 1 course called Your Dream Year, which you can learn about there at nicolemeline.com/visionary, or it's available on its own when you scroll to the bottom of that page. So if you're feeling a draw to this workshop or to the journal, chances are the Visionary Dream Year course is for you. You're going to love what you see there. It's going to excite the dreamer in you, or the dreamer who's maybe forgotten how to dream, the dreamer who needs to be awakened to your dreams. That's what the Dream Year course is about. Again, you can find out all about it at nicolemeline.com/visionary. The Integrate journal is also included in the Visionary Volume 1 Your Dream Year course. Or if you're taking just the standalone Integrate workshop, that includes a coupon for 50% off of the Integrate journal. Or you can just find the journal at shop.nicolemeline.com. Like these questions, the Integrate journal is a really powerful and fun tool for the kinds of meaningful conversations we crave, especially around the holidays. We've all been to holiday gatherings that just seem shallow. And I always like to remember that this word holiday, as I've shared in previous podcasts around this time of year last year, comes from the word holy day. These are holy, sacred days. And we want to be having deep, rich, meaningful connections and conversations. And sometimes we don't really know how to get there. And so offering someone this tool, saying, hey, let's flip through this together. Let's just pick a page. And what is your answer to this question? I promise you that conversation is going to go places you've probably never gone with that person. I dream of y'all setting out these journals as part of a place setting at Thanksgiving. How beautiful would that be to have this book that you can thumb through at the table and begin to ask each other these questions, or as a stocking stuffer or a housewarming gift. It's a way to say to yourself and your beloved people, I want to deeply know you and walk with you and integrate it all. I would love to hear what this podcast has stirred in you. what these questions have revealed to you about how this year has shaped you. So please rate and review it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and share it with a friend or on social media. Tag me at Nicole Meline and at Alter Together so we can send up some smoke signals for like-hearted community as we alter together.